All right, welcome back to the Aces ROG Finals. Tasia is in the lead with a 1-0 against San. And we are about to go into map number 2 here. We're going up into Star Station. On the map number 1, we had Neo Planet S, and Tasia with his draw play and his aggression was able to take San down before the Protoss player could really capitalize on the 3 bases that he had and bring the Colossus tech out in addition to Storm. What do we expect on Star Station? Will we see aggression from San, or is he trying to go into the late game again?
In a lot of ways, Star Station is kind of the opposite of Planet S. Planet S almost demands aggression. It's so short. There's so many different ways to attack on it. Whereas Star Station is a very big map. It's very easy to defend a lot of things. Third base can be a little bit exposed. If you do want to attack, that has to be your focus going into the game. I don't know. It's really hard to tell because San's PvT, it looks like he's probably going to be trying to experiment, trying to find what works.
Well, starting to the bottom right, we have the Protoss player. It is for Team Azubu, down 1 game in the best of 5 at the Aces ROG Finals. It is San. And he is up against a fan favorite with a 1-0 lead in the series. It is the champion. Starting to the top left for Team Liquid, it is Tasia. Tasia labeling himself a San fan, which we can see in his overlay every single time. Not much of a San fan if you ask me, the way he beat him in game number 1.
You can be his fan and still want to beat him. $10,000 sometimes overweighs that.
Only occasionally. Well, right now in this game, I mean, the main question, of course, is still what is San going to do in this series? He must have come into the best of 5 and realized that Tasia will be a very tough opponent to beat given the Protoss versus Terran that we've seen out of him. And in this particular scenario, either San is just trying to play a little bit of a greedy build, trying to go into the mid game and confident in his abilities that he can take down his opponent with his micro, with his macro and multitasking, or he just resigns and says, you know what, I don't think I can beat him like this. I have to hit him with the timing, I have to hit him hard, and either it works or it doesn't, but I have to roll the dice here.
Yeah. I really disliked those Immortals. It was kind of weird. He actually didn't commit either way in that last game. It was really middle of the road. He made some Immortals which really lend themselves to some kind of bust. They're so good at taking down the early Marauders and bunkers, and just the insane DPS kind of negates repair because you burst it down that fast, you can't repair it. But then he just sat back and took a third without securing any of the high-tech, without the Templars, the Colossus that we've seen every other Protoss use to actually defend that third. So he didn't attack, but he also didn't really take a safe third base. And it wasn't even a greedy third base. It wasn't super fast. He just had an ineffectual tech going into it. It was just really unfocused play. And he's definitely going to have to fix that if he wants to have any chance against Tasia here.
Yeah, that style surprises me a little bit because the one thing that we can really say about San's Protoss versus Zerg is that he is super aggressive.
Yeah.
He was always in Hyun's face. And Hyun is one of those players that has an incredible Zerg versus Protoss. And he is really good at this matchup. But because of all that pressure that we saw coming out of San, he was never really able to get that into the game. So San was always in his opponent's face. He was always going for the aggression, massive amount of gateways, and I would have expected him to try to at least transfer that style in general over into his Protoss versus Terran. But he seems, in game 1, as you already mentioned, he seemed a little bit lost, and it seemed not really as crisp as the builds that we've seen in other matchups from him.
And even in the PvZs, even in the macro games, even when he was going 3-base Void, right, he was still absolutely in his opponent's face, to the extent that he lost an army for free once and was still good enough to come back and win. But no matter what, he was putting the pressure on his opponents, and that's part of the reason he forced so many mistakes out of them. So a player who is just so non-stop aggressive to then sit back and play passive in a different matchup, I don't know, it just shows a different level of understanding of how to play against the two races.
And there's of course also the experience coming into play, San himself being an older StarCraft player or being around for a long time, but Tasia just definitely one of the two who has the more experience, especially in international events. He's been playing in so many finals already that might come into play here as well. Currently in this game, we have both of them just taking it easy for the early game at least. We have Tasia with a build that he has used in previous games, especially when he was up against Alicia. He goes into the double CC now, takes it a little bit more greedy here in the early game, even taking his gases as well. He has a reactor here on his barracks, but with this build in particular, that's something where he can, of course, then just base everything on this massive economy that he's going to get on top of it.
Yeah, this is what we saw from him against Alicia on Derelict Watch, I believe. And he just went an incredibly fast third base and then powered up a ton of barracks and went for a big mid-game timing. Not even an SCV pull. He just had enough bio and medevacs to plow through Alicia. And he did it right before the secondary tech kicks in. And it varies whichever that'll be. Sometimes we'll go Colossus first. Some players will go Templars first. Templar first. But there's always going to be that tech switch mid-game. And he had it timed out just perfectly that he had a big mass units right as that tech switch was going to happen. So not sure if he's going to go for that again here. You can just go for a macro game as well off this and just play it absolutely normally. Either way, it's just a very solid opening because you get those 3 CCs early on. You just get such a good economy off of it.
Yeah, and of course also you have the extra energy that was immediately being used here to get one of those scans off to the bottom right. Seeing now what exactly we have here in San's base, he spotted the robotics facility and saw every tech that we currently have for the Azul player. So San is starting once again with Robo into Forge. And I'm really interested to see what he's going to do with that Robo after his Observer. In the last game, he was going for Warp Prism and tried to make that DT drop at work. And actually did some decent damage, but I don't really was maybe not as successful as he wanted to. Definitely not the build that I would assume him to go in this game. It would maybe be a little bit too predictable. My Teja already saw that he's willing to go into DT tech, so that will probably make him a little bit more cautious. And we have, of course, 3 CCs and therefore a lot more scans available.
There's actually a pylon dropped immediately outside of Teja's base, but he only has that one gateway, so this can't really be too much of anything. Maybe a fake, maybe just try and scare him. But Teja is going to be more than comfortable against this. He actually has Widow Mines out. He's going up for a drop. And he sees that pylon, cancels it. So this is actually really smart by Sam. This is pure mind games. He canceled that immediately. He put down one right next to it, kind of just hoping that Teja would come out and see that too. And it's actually working. Teja's putting down 2 bunkers here for no reason.
Yeah.
And he cancels one because he scans and sees that there's actually nothing to be afraid of in Sam's base. But
yeah, he lets the second one apparently finish because he's not quite sure if there might be another couple of gates somewhere else in the base.
Yeah.
But at this point, he really assumes that it was just simply a fake coming out of San. And that was actually well executed. I really like the idea that the Azul player had there.
It cost him almost nothing. It cost him about 25 minerals, actually, to do all of that. And out of Teja, it burnt a scan that gave him no new information at all, and also that additional bunker. So great little mind games coming out of Sam. But back in his base, he's rushing straight up to Templar Archives this game. Incredibly fast, actually, just doing that off 2 gates and an Observer.
Yeah, pulling a little bit of an Alicia.
Yeah, going very similar to the way he played, actually. Like
going
almost
straight into the storm, going for the armor upgrade here. And Teja, on the other hand, now trying to go into the double engineering bay for double upgrades. He has also Stim immediately on the production tab. And San is starting with his Warp Prism again, so he could just try to go into his opponent's main base and warp in a couple of units. We could even see a Storm drop at some point.
He definitely could. I think it's more likely he's going to be forced to use the Templar defensively, though, because Teja is powering up pretty hard. He already has 3 barracks running with a double tech lab, so he's going to have a lot of Marauders coming out. He's getting that double E-base, so he's going to have 1-1 pretty quickly. And in fact, that's going to negate any advantage the Protoss would have in terms of upgrades, since he only has the 1 Forge. We do have a drop coming in here with a Widow Mine and a couple Marines. This isn't going to do anything big unless he lets... Oh, he is hiding that Widow Mine for future, waiting for the Pro Transfer to come, hoping to get a big shot there. That could potentially be really big.
Yeah, third base now coming out for San, and that puts an end to our thoughts of him being aggressive for now. He really wants to try to make something work with his expansion, and the drop spotted this immediately. Oh, wow. Zip, and there comes the beat back. He did not expect those Templars to be there.
No, I don't think he did. He lost that immediately. There were only 3 Marines in there, but losing a medevac, that kind of sucks. Medevacs are important units, very expensive. And it's very important to build up your medevac count early because Colossus will be coming, and when they do, you want to spend all of that starport time.
Boom, he only gets the probes down. And
that
the
could have been a lot
already
more.
on the way.
Sorry, what?
The Observer already on the way now to take it out.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. If he were paying attention to that, he could have switched to focus fire a bit, waited for a bigger clump, but just getting 2 out of that. Not a big investment, but not a big return either.
Yeah, the macro of Teja, on the other hand, to the top left is absolutely on top of things. We go see immediately the armory being built, so the 2-2 will be available. In past games, he missed that sometimes and lost a few precious seconds, but here he really wants to get that upgrade lead over his opponent. And even sees the movement of the Observer, scans ahead and takes it out, so San's vision is quite limited. He has another one in the vicinity that at least spots the third base, and actually he is also in the range of all those additional structures that is now being added by Teja.
Yeah, he sees those additional 3 barracks coming down. He knows that Teja's starting to power up. And this doesn't look like the same build that he did against Alicia. This looks much more late game oriented. I don't think he's going to go for big timing unless he just so happens to see the opportunity. And that Warp Prism just can't catch a break. First it's caught by a flying building. Next, it actually goes off in range of the sensor tower. So Teja knows he's going around looking for an opportunity, and the Widow Mine actually takes out the Zealot, and then the Viking is going to shut down the Warp Prism. So absolutely nothing accomplished.
That Warp Prism is having a shitty day.
Yes, it did.
Well, the Warp Prism actually it looks like the Warp Prism will be escaped. Yep, gets away from the Viking after all. But those High Templars, they are a little bit less lucky. They are morphing to an Archon right away. Nice snipe here by Teja. No time to accumulate the energy for Storm. The Terran player trying to force the issue. Immediately photon overcharge going down the force field. Not as good against Tasia as they were against Hyun, trapping only 2 Marines and still trying to buy the time to get the Storm upgrade out there. And then we also have now double Forge for San, so he added the second Forge. He wants to have those double upgrades. And Tasia still in a bit of a lead with the upgrade tech, but if San uses his thermal boost, he will catch up quite quickly and get ahead.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a matter of whether or not he feels that that is worth focusing on or not. What else is he going to use his Chrono Boost on? It really should be the upgrades, but the thing that really bothers me here is he's still going those Immortals, and I just really feel like the Immortals are not necessarily bad, but there's other things that scale so much better in the mid and late game, namely Templar and Colossus. We do see that Robobay done, so I have no idea why he's continuing to produce Immortals. Now he has begun the Colossus production.
Yeah, the Robobay just finished while the Immortal was nearly done. I feel that's why he waited here a little bit longer. He maybe have mistimed it a little bit, or even needed the first Colossus now, that he has the opportunity to get them into the game. And we have for Tasia an adjustment immediately upon scouting that is over body state. We see the additional starboard coming down that will give him the chance to get a lot more Vikings out there, and of course always make the transition back into medevacs if he loses his support units here. But you can really see that Azubu-san is completely on top of his upgrades. He's going into the range upgrade for the Colossi. He has +2 attacks started, and he goes into the 3rd armor upgrade already. So that's exactly what you want to have in his situation.
Yeah, a very comfortable macro game for both of them. There's a little bit of warp and harass. I take this natural here. But getting shut down very quickly. 3 Zealots, maybe a couple of SCV kills, and the Warp Prism does go down, so that's not really worthwhile. We saw much better Zealot harass out of Volition, actually much more pylon focused. Or if he did use a Warp Prism, he actually put it far away and just ran the Zealots in. That way he didn't run the risk. And it looks like he caught a Templar in the middle of the map too. Yep. So San being a little bit sloppy all over here.
Yeah, San is now in a position where he's trying to establish himself at 4th base, and Tasia is doing the same thing, just heading over with his command center that he already built a little bit earlier. We have for him not only the Vikings, but he also goes into the Ghost production, even researching the personal cloaking here, adding his own upgrades. And the scout here for San is of course nice. He knows that there is already the 4th, so both of them with roughly the same timing for the additional mineral line. San is getting the Dark Shrine, and I kind of like this. If you're on 4 bases, then it really can pay off if you send those units over. Harassment in the late game can be really important. We saw Alicia using that style against Terran over and over again. He was so successful, not only against Happy, but also against Tasia later. He had the first engagement on the other hand, but both not too confident in making that backlash he will.
And Templar are sniped immediately. A couple of feedbacks going off, but using all of the mana, so I'm not sure if he even has any Storms left. He only has that single Colossus. And Tasia just has a massive army compared to Sam.
Here comes the first Storm. That does at least a lot of damage against those Vikings. He's trying to get the second one. And Tasia with a stim once again. 30 supply ahead of his opponent. The Colossus down, and the Terran player on the chase, so those Immortals don't do anything here. A 60 supply lead for Tasia. He's moving in at the 4th, a good time warp, and immediately the Storm has a follow-up. But this Spider army is just massive. The photon overcharge trying to prevent the worst, but this Nexus is going to fall. 88 army supply for Tasia, 31 for San. Once again, Tasia on a roll here and carrying that momentum into the main base of the Protoss.
That just looks silly. Tasia just has so many more units than him. I really feel it comes down to those Immortals. I think that's just a complete wasted investment. And we saw it was almost non-effective. The Templar really didn't do enough. They took out a lot of the Ghosts, but the reason the Ghosts are there... And
GG! Game 2 over, and Tasia in a dominant position to take that series. Immediately jumping on Skype again. Yes, Mom, I'll be home soon. I won game 2. 1 map to go.
That was incredibly impressive by Tasia. He just makes it look so easy.
I really
All he
want
does
to know
is make
who's
units.
messaging.
I hope it is his mom. That would be really cute. Coming home
no
soon, I'm
picture.
bringing $10,000 with me.
Microwave the food, I'm hungry. Well, map number 3, we have a Nuker coming up, and I mean, let's be completely honest about it. San just got 2 beatings.
Yeah, really, really hard.
Game 3, we talked about a potential timing in game number 2. Do you think it's time to finally roll the dice and say, well, I might as well just try?
If he doesn't all in here, I think there's 0 chance he wins. I think Tasia is just too good and too confident after all of that. I think his only chance is to really catch Tasia completely off guard.
It would be quite a story for Tasia to make this work and to claim victory at the Aces RG for the 2nd time in a row, back to back.
And San actually just typed in the chat 3-0, which is... That shouldn't really happen.
Well, at this point, he probably feels a little bit unlucky that he faced off against the Terran player in the finals, not against the Zerg.
Yeah, it is really kind of depressing given just how good his PVZ looked and the fact that he doesn't get to show that off when it really, really matters. It's too bad.
And so guys, we have a problem with the client here. That is not, that's actually not the computer. Apparently it's really the user.
Yeah.
It's really the user. All right, there it works. And let's change that out. So let's get into the lobby as well. And then we are going to start with game number 3. Guys, I guess San needs a little bit of support here. We won a long series, we won 5 games. So cheer him up, Azubu San. Tasia already with 2 wins here. And I guess we have to kick one of those guys out of the lobby. No, I'm actually in. Okay, that's just wrong. We're having a little bit of a technical problem here. The technology is just not there yet.
Tasia says the Artosis curse. So he feels for San.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for him too. Dan was 100% wrong with all his predictions as usual.
Wait, are you in?
I don't...
Oh, it looks like you kind of are.
How?
I
just relocked. All right, works for me.
Let's see if the game actually loads. Ah, there we go. So
I didn't join.
We fixed it. We are technical geniuses here.
Yeah, it's the aura of the user.
And going into game 3, Taja's up 2-0. This is San's last chance.
Yeah, it's his last chance, and maybe we're going to see the timing that we were talking about, or he's really confident enough to go into a macro game once again. 2 times it didn't work, maybe 3rd time is the charm. We have the Protoss player to the bottom right of the map, Newkirk. It is the 3rd map. Tasia is up 2-0, and here to the bottom right we have the Protoss. It is San. And his opponent, the current champion, the Aces ROG champion 2012. He is starting at the bottom left. It is for Team Liquid.net, Tasia.
And the really scary thing here is that San played pretty much exactly the same way the previous 2 games. He wasn't looking to try and figure something new out for the last game or trying to change something up and find a weakness in Tasia's plays. He was just kind of sitting back and doing his own thing. And it really, really isn't working. Very
different from what we've seen Tasia do when he was going up against Alicia. You could really see that in the first games, Tasia was struggling a lot against this style.
Oh, yeah.
And it looked like Alicia was invincible in this matchup. It really looked like his defense didn't have a single dent. But then suddenly Tasia came up with these small variations that gave him a win in game number 4. And then going into the 5th game, you could really see that Tasia completely figured out the style of Alicia, always relying on the same build order and just exploiting that without mercy, taking the victory and beating down Alicia. Going into the finals, and San, he has a lot of problems really adjusting to the style that we have out of Tasia. So big problem for him here, and I don't know what he should do to come back. Definitely not what he did in game number 1 and 2.
Yeah, not just taking the victory, but Tasia came back to make Alicia look kind of silly and easy in the 4th and 5th game after Alicia looked absolutely amazing in the first few. So he saw everything that was happening. He completely figured out a way to counter it on the fly. Whereas here, San is just kind of sitting back and playing his own game. And that works when he takes control of the game and he can dictate the pace of it as he does in the PvZ. But his PvT so far looks very passive. And when passive doesn't work, then you really have to change something up because there's no way you can make that work.
Alicia is just getting all this momentum when he starts with his own build, when he's not disturbed at all. And once he has the composition that he really needs and desires, he moves into the aggression. And that's something that San was never really able to stop. In both of these games, we had just one fight that ended badly for San, and suddenly Tasia was moving in with everything that he had and steamrolled his opponent. So in this game, we have once again a little bit of a different build here for Tasia. He's not relying on the same structure opening that we saw in the game number 2. He's going for an early gas this time. And we might see a lot of aggression out of him, but it looks more like we are going to see Reactor into expand.
That does seem to be his go-to, and right now it doesn't feel like he has any reason to risk anything. It's always good to mix it up. It's always good to keep your opponent off guard, but when you're winning games that easily, it's not good to take big risks because it's just unnecessary, and you'd rather not give him a game for free on accident. Yeah. And on the other side of things, it is a very fast Nexus for San again.
Which is actually quite interesting because we didn't see any scouting from him. He tried to get that probe into his opponent's base, but he was caught on with the Marine before he even entered the ramp. So he does not know about the barracks. He didn't even see the reactor. He didn't see the SCV that was on a low ground. So he has no information whatsoever. And that's the worst position that you can possibly be in as a Protoss player. You have to play blind. You have to make decisions without actually knowing if you can risk that.
Yeah, his only saving grace is the Mothership Core, which gives him the planetary nexus, allows you to defend pretty much everything. And he has that flying out to try and get some kind of scouting information. Taja's ready for that. He has Marines all along the right side of his base. He's going to deny that pretty much immediately. So Sand is going to be kept in the dark for as long as possible. And it looks like Taja is probably going up for a very quick Widow Mine drop. Starport coming down. His factory has completed. And there goes the Widow Mine. So this has been one of his go-to builds, if not probably his most common build.
It's one of the builds that we've seen against Alicia with a really good hit at the natural, taking down 11 of those probes. The Mothership Core is really trying to hug the high ground here, making it work for now, but he can't get into the base and really see anything. Gets a little bit of a glimpse, but that's about it. So right now, he really doesn't know completely what's going on. Well, he saw at least the starport, so I feel he can assume that we are going to see a potential Widow Mine drop of his opponent, and he already goes into the robotics, which is of course something that he did in the previous games too. And with the Forge that is coming up now, it looks like very much the build that we've seen in game number 1 and number 2 without any adjustments.
Yep, no variations at all thus far. This is exactly how he opened in the previous 2 games. He did get enough information that he should know it's a Widow Mine drop, given how often Taja actually does that build. He should really know that's coming. But it's not a big deal if you defend that. This is kind of just Taja's way of taking control of the game and making sure he has some presence on the map and that Sand can't be too greedy. Because behind this, he's just building up and going into the mid-game, regardless of what happens.
+1 armor upgrade once again started, trying to make that work. The cannons here, of course, a really nice touch, especially against a potential Widow Mine drop. You have that extra detection in your mineral line, and you make sure that the Widow Mine does not get the hit off against the economy. It's one of the worst things that can happen to you. Those guys cluster up. Now we have the Medivac just trying to move in here at the bottom, and the Observer might actually just miss that. The Stalker's also not in a position where they can intercept it.
It does indeed miss it, and the Stalkers are way too high up. They're not covering the mineral line. That's because in most games, Taja actually goes to get the Widow Mine on top of the ramp, but this time he's going straight into the mineral line.
Double Widow Mine burrowing here. The Stalkers on the way. Nice, leaving just one probe over there, targeting the cooldown, and immediately now moving out. Not doing too much damage, taking down 3 Harvesters in total, actually 2. Disregarding the scout that we saw being killed earlier. But still, Taja now with the presence at his opponent's base and definitely pressuring him quite a bit.
And it did cost him essentially nothing. He wants that medevac, he wants those Marines anyway, and the mines can be very useful just for area control and scouting and whatnot. So this hasn't cost him anything as long as he doesn't lose that medevac, and he just got a couple of free probe kills and disrupted the mining for it.
Twilight Council completed by now for San. We have him with charge immediately, and also something that has been spotted by Taja here thanks to that one medivac. He just speed boosts into the natural, sees the cannon, decides that it's time to turn around.
He does indeed, and there's a probe patrolling around in front of the base, wondering if Taja might be going for some sort of all-in behind this medevac drop, but that's clearly not the case. Taja just building up again. His 3rd CC has started. Not nearly as fast as it was in the previous game, but still reasonably quick. Not going a very heavy 2-base play by any means. Actually getting a turret down as well, despite having pretty full scouting information. To me, that really says that Taja is feeling very confident here. He just wants to make sure that nothing silly happens early on. Just get himself into that macro game.
He saw the Twilight Council, and he knows that it's probably going to be for a Templar Archive again, which indeed it is, but there's always the off chance that there is going to be another Dark Shrine, something that Sun has already shown in this matchup. So he just decides that one missile turret, that this is an investment that will pay off for him, and as you already said, he's very confident he can go into the mid-game, even with kind of wasting those resources. Might actually come into play if one of those observers heads straight to the natural and is taken out by it. He saw the War Prism here for a second, and now we also have the drop moving in once again. It's the same medivac from before. Needs to be careful though, and okay, only going here to the 3rd base, trying to drop that Widow Mine to make sure that he knows when exactly the Protoss player is going to take it, and maybe even be able to take down the probe before it happens.
Yeah, I'm surprised he doesn't put it a little bit further forward to snipe that probe before it actually is able to drop the Nexus, delay that expansion by a little bit. But he may be looking more for a shot on the probes as they transfer over once the Nexus has completed. And another medevac swinging out up around top, and Sand has pretty good map vision, pretty good coverage, but it looks like that one will escape his sight.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm really a little bit afraid of is that Tasia is once again gathering this momentum and just this confidence that he already had in game number 1 and 2. He's taking a bit of a supply lead. He's now heading into the double upgrades, not only with the armory being in production, but also the engineering bay. And this just looks very similar to the games that we've seen so far. Tasia hasn't really done any damage, but San certainly hasn't pressured him, and that didn't turn out too well in the last few games.
No, and San is actually playing pretty much identical still. He has the Immortals coming out, he is getting up Templar Tech, and he's putting down that third base at a reasonable time. Not too early, not too late. And that would be okay, but that means that he really has to make most of the units he has, and those Immortals, I still really don't like those Immortals. They don't seem to be effectual at all for him in these fights.
Well, we have now the Ghost Academy also being built, so he immediately reacts to the Templar tech that we see for San. It's going to take a bit of time for him, of course, to get those Ghosts out, but the double upgrades now started for Tasia. He is ahead in economy thanks to his 3 bases, the faster mineral line. The warp in the main immediately taken out. Those Zealots didn't do a thing, and the Viking might not be able to take down the Warp Prison, but at least pressuring it enough to, for now, force it to retreat.
Taking some hit points off it, and actually he may catch it. He is still catching up to it and doing some damage. But no, it does look like it'll get away. But doing a lot of damage to that makes it much more risky for it to run around the map in the future. And those Zealots, as you said, did absolutely no damage. Didn't even get a single SCV kill. And Taja's moving out. He's looking for an attack here. Storm is on the field for San, so he has to be very careful about the way he splits his units here. And there was a potential big storm there, but he does catch the Templar.
Nearly a 20 supply lead in army currently for Tasia. He's just waiting for this attack to happen. He's pressuring his opponent a little bit, forcing also the Guardian shield off. There's a good observer at the front with a scout. Tasia could take it out, but I don't think he really saw that. We have the robotics bay coming up for San. He wants those Colossi out. He wants to get them, trying to just force Tasia back with another storm. Hits a few of the Marines. +3 attack has been started, and now he even needs to kill his own pylon since the Archon was trapped. Definitely needs to slip down a little bit.
I believe there are still 3 Templar on the field, but only potentially 2 Storms ready to go. And that was a good storm. That was much better than the previous ones we've seen, and that is going to force Tasia back. He can't really engage into that anymore, not with the Planetary Nexus up. But still, he hasn't lost too much, and he's just kind of putting some pressure on San, making him waste units, waste mana. And
I don't
he's not really
think that he wants
much.
to engage here. He just wants to pressure him a little bit, and as you said, just force that energy out. Oh, but the medivacs here are very much imposed. Does he have anything in the main base that he could use? Yes, he does. He can go for the feedback. And where is it? He goes for a Storm instead.
And charging in here after the Colossus, and that looks like it will fall down. No support units at all to protect it. The Stalkers aren't going to do anything.
There were 3 Stalkers, and they didn't snipe a single medivac. All those units in the main base, and he can still go back. Why the Storm? I mean, there was not enough energy on the medivacs to really kill them right out, but I feel that he could have done a little bit more if he just feedback those medivacs and focus them down with the Stalkers. The Storm did more damage to his own units than anything else.
Yeah, it definitely does seem like, I guess he wanted to storm the units as they dropped out of the medivacs, but really that doesn't help too much. It's much better to kill off the medivacs. Without the healing, then those units will die anyway, and the medivacs are a much bigger investment. That's much more important to kill them off.
When we look at the resources lost, we see that there's no massive difference, but there is definitely an advantage for Tasia currently. San lost a lot more resources than his opponent, and Tasia really calling the shots already in this game. Even building more missile turrets now, being super safe here, and of course building them all to the right side. That might kill that observer that we see here. Well, it definitely does. And the War Prism, of course, is also something that San will not be able to rely upon anymore.
No, San putting down a 4th base, heading up into a macro game, and he does have both Colossus and Templar tech out now. And we know he does have good mechanics. It is getting to the point in the game where strategical options are less important because everyone's already established. Everyone already has all their tools available. So maybe we'll see some amazing storms and some amazing macro from him here. That is entirely possible.
Well, we could see those storms really soon. Good EMP here, taking down a lot of the shields, and the snipes follow immediately. Great Michael with the Ghost this time. Tasia has really adapted to that style against High Templars. He struggled a bit against Alicia, but against San, this is looking really strong. A potential flank here, a good Storm at the front, and those 2 High Templars in the back, they could do a lot here. They are moving in, and this might be exactly what San needs. Where are those Storms? Here they are! Oh my god! two Murder Storms taking down half the army of Tasia. He drops in supply, and that's exactly the move that San needed in this game.
Those were absolutely amazing storms. We've seen that tactic a couple of times today. That's by far the most successful has been the Ninja Templar running around in the back, catching him as he retreats. Absolutely nothing Tasia could do about that. He was caught between a rock and a hard place, and he lost a lot of units there.
Yeah, he definitely did. Resources lost now in favor of San, and that already tells how much he was able to take down here, given how far behind he was earlier. Upgrade-wise, we have now still the lead a little bit for Tasia, but San is starting to catch up. He also now has those Colossi in the game. He has only 2. We still have your beloved Immortal as well.
he insists on having those around, and as long as he wins battles, that's fine.
Well, the Immortal has actually 2 kills.
2 kills, that's not too bad. He's kind of pulling his weight. And that Widow Mine is still sitting out there in the middle of the map, and that has killed 2 Templar already, as well as taking the shields off a number of Zealots.
Yep, and another Zealot goes down. How many kills does that thing actually have? 5 in total. That is a quite successful Widow Mine.
Yes, it is. And a Warp Prism falls down to those Vikings, but I believe another one's actually coming out along the bottom of the map right away, but a building will see that immediately.
San is now in a position where he is maxed out, and he's starting to build up this bank. I'm a little bit surprised that we don't see him utilize that forge as much as he would want to. He only has a single forge, by the way. He still didn't add a second one. He's adding a second robotics because he wants to go into the double Colossus production. But in terms of upgrades, he's completely relying on one forge and his chrono boosts. And San's really like dodging that Widow Mine. I mean, they're staring at each other. This is a staring contest. The entire 200 supply army of San and a single Widow Mine. And I think the Widow Mine is good.
Yeah, he definitely seems a little bit more intimidated by the Widow Mine than the Widow Mine is of him. And a double drop coming in, focusing down their Nexus, but no way he's going to get that. Yeah, full probe kills, and he's going to get away for free.
No. Doesn't kill those Medivacs, of course, with the little energy that they have, but still can do some damage here and reduce that healing a little bit further.
Running into the 4th base as well, but plenty of defense over there, and a nice storm actually taking out a lot of units here, and the cannon's going to be able to clean up. So Sam looking more and more solid as the game progresses.
And in the meantime, he took down Wally, the Widow Mine, but not before it also sniped another unit.
And if we look at the armies, it is getting into full-on late-game TVP. Everything now going to come down to the Ghosts against the Templar, as well as the army ratios, how many Vikings you have, how many Colossus you have. And 2 Templar actually caught, but they get off feedbacks and storms, and he actually wins that battle there.
You know, the thing is that he lost so many High Templars already on the map, but also this allows him to just go into a position where he can then get those really good storms from the back that he doesn't see. So losing one every now and then is probably something that he definitely can live with. But at this point, we have really the battle still going on. And let's, well, for now they're actually disengaged.
We've lost there's no video.
I know, but we probably have still the stream online.
Oh, that's
so guys, we'll do our best to actually make that as colorful as possible and tell you what happens here. So I hope that the production will be able to put that up in just a second again. But at this point, we have the +3 attack upgrade started. We have actually San also going into a Stargate here. And we have a few engagements here, not too much. And video is back. Right on time. You didn't miss anything.
That Stargate is actually really interesting. We've cast quite a few TVPs today, and we haven't seen any kind of Stargate play out of anyone. I imagine that's going to be to mix in some Tempest, use that to control positioning battles, maybe some Oracles for Revelation.
Or maybe San is just like, you know what, if I go down here, I might as well build a few carriers.
Perhaps.
Well, for now we have the second target actually coming up, and we have the fleet beacon, and Tasia, he is pressured a lot. San is moving in, and he also has a lot of Zealots this time at the 4th base of his opponent, but the Terran is fighting back right now, getting a couple of really good EMPs up, has to make his way back to his death though, because those Zealots are certainly mean business.
They definitely do, and actually the army is just sitting out in the middle of the map for Tasia. He's not coming back to clean this up, and that's too many Zealots to really pick off with reinforcements. He's doing so much damage here. All the SCVs pulled away, a lot of them dead, and actually killing infrastructure, even taking down barracks.
Yeah, another base is already being built for San. He uses the time that he bought himself with those Zealots to get another base up and just get another source of income. So that works out really well for him. In total, we have him now going even into the shield upgrades. He's currently on 3-3, same as true for Tasia. They are maxed out in the upgrades. As Zealot is still attacking, and Tasia pauses the game. Maybe a bit of a problem here with his controls.
Kind of seems like, it looks like he's typing something out. Do we actually have an admin here?
Okay, apparently he has lag problems on his computer. So an admin is already making his way over and checking what exactly is going on here. Well, at this point, just looking a little bit of the statistics that we have here, we have 188 supply for the Terran player, we have 182 for Zubu-san, and on the production tab, we have a lot of ghosts still being brought into the game. What San is really trying to do right now, on the other hand, is utilizing his Dark Templars a little bit. He's warping the first ones in, and that is just something that he can add in addition to those zealots that we already see going down on that third base. The third itself is still very much exposed. We have one zealot still trying to take down the command center, which is most likely not going to happen since we have a few ghosts in the vicinity as well. So that would be a surprise. But what we really have is just Asia getting another base in the middle of the map, building that planetary right now. So both these players are just getting further up in bases, trying to go for the economy. 24 minutes into the game, there is not really a huge advantage for either one of them.
However, those zealots coming in and killing off that third base, that opens up a big avenue of harassment, because there's now no bunker there. He's going to have to leave units there if he really wants to defend it. So if, as we saw with Alicia, if he just keeps warping in zealots and keeps sending them at that, it's so hard for Terran to actually deal with. And he has almost 5 bases running at this point, so he has plenty of resources. Looks like we are back into the game now.
Back into the game, and the zealot that we talked about is already down. Another one being attacked, the ghost with the cloaking now.
But he has plenty of resources to actually just continually pour in. Actually, the DT might... no, but he does drop the mule to repair it and scans to take it out.
That was close, though.
That was surprisingly close. And if he just continues to warp in units and pump them in, and DT's in the 5th base as well.
And Tempest being built here, so we don't see a carrier memorial built. We actually have Tempest here, which is, of course, a much more useful unit in this matchup.
And actually going 2-star Tempest, so he will get quite a few out if he wants to. And that'll be pretty interesting. Like I said, we haven't seen that yet today, but more and more zealots coming in all over the map.
Those are pretty beefy units by now with all these upgrades, and oh wow, those were good storms, and we had the feedback as well. That was a little bit of a sneaky attack. I certainly didn't expect that to happen, and Tasia neither.
So many ghosts out here for Tasia, though. He has to be really careful about directing engagement, because his entire army is going to be EMP'd immediately.
Yeah. What we also have are 2 sensor towers by now, so Tasia knows when exactly San is going to approach. Those sneaky moves with the High Templars, we are not going to see that anymore.
Yeah, those 2 sensor towers, and he also has cleared all of the pylons on his portion of the map, so there's not going to be any warp-ins unless it is DTs running across the map or a warp prism sneaking around into position.
Yeah, San is actually falling a little bit behind in supply now, losing a few of his DTs and all the rest. He's, of course, he wants also to have a bit of supply space so that he can use additional Tempest. Once more, the storms against the bio units, and here comes the Archon.
Archon morphs in panic, knowing that it was going to die, trying to get something out of it. And he might be able to save the little Archon, but no, it does go down. And the first Tempests are now out on the field and continuing out production. Yep. Not sure just how many he's going to try and get, because you can't have too many.
Yeah, he has 4 already, and he's getting 2 additional ones. Already heading into the attack upgrades for those bad boys too. Another scan on the Dark Templar. I mean, those scans definitely something that he's forcing out with the DTs, but of course he would love to just sneak into one of those mineral lines and do a little bit more damage. Good storm against those ghosts. They are certainly taking a lot of damage. 23, by the way. 23 ghosts that we currently see in the game.
That is an absurd amount of ghosts, but as you get in the late game, it's actually quite powerful. You use this cloak, they have quite powerful harassment. Of course, the strength of BMP and Snipe, everyone knows about that. And Taja's actually kind of getting pushed back here, but he's trying to just find a good position where he can go in with the ghosts and catch the whole army.
And with 23 ghosts, we have only 1 nuke. Do you actually think they fight a bit of a battle or play tic-tac-toe to find out who exactly is going to be able to use them?
Well, whoever gets to go in and drop the nuke tends to end up dying, so I'm not sure how hard they're actually vying for that spot.
But if it works, he's the hero.
He is the hero. He gets an honor burial. That planetary has been healed up, but there is a warp-in station down at the 6 o'clock expansion for I can actually keep forgetting, for San. And his warp-ins thus far have just not been nearly as effective as Alicia's were, but Alicia's were incredibly effective. They actually won him multiple games purely on their own merit. San just not able to apply the continual pressure that was what really allowed him to crack the Terrans before.
San is definitely having a problem with the Widow Mines, by the way. He tried to storm one now, that didn't take it out either, so Widow Mines kind of the bane of his existence in this game at least. And we have actually like Tasia, now that he identified that he's up against against the Tempest, we have him with 3 additional starports. So he's currently, I think, at 4, or did he build 3 in total? Yeah, 4 starports. So he can get out a lot of Vikings. And this is starting to be a very interesting battle. I haven't seen that in a while. And here we go, trying to use those storms immediately. The Tempest, of course, with the range, trying to make that work. San is sniping the Mothership core. A few of those High Templars out of energy and therefore useless to San. He's just leaving them behind. The Tempest getting their shots off. Great EMPs against the shields of the Protoss player. And Tasia is on the move now. We have another High Templar there without the energy. Can't use that storm that he wants to. The Vikings in pursuit, taking down one Colossus after another. And San just barely reaches those cannons. And the High Templar that are being sniped by the Ghosts. No mercy from Tasia. Oh, no.
And 4 Templar go down for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, those were the sneaky ninja Templars that were trying to go in.
These weren't so sneaky, though.
Yeah, we're trying.
And all of the cannons are actually going to go down here. Another big warp in. That's enough to actually take out that planetary if he's not careful. But reinforcements right there for Tasia, too. So and then this 5th Nexus falls as well. Things are kind of just falling apart for San here.
Yeah, they definitely do. The repair on the planetary fortress, able to force a retreat. The planetary on his own with a scan there, able to take down the DTs. And we have more and more Tempests now coming into play, but against 16 Vikings and more in production, this is starting to look really, really bad for him. Keep that +2 attack upgrade for the Vikings also in mind. That's a lot of burst damage that we have here for the Terran player.
He's really just not utilizing these Tempests, it feels like. Like, the whole point of the Tempest is the range. Use them to pick at your opponent without actually going into a direct engagement and just abuse that range. But instead, he keeps getting engaged on by Tasia, and in that situation, you'd rather not have the Tempest. There's kind of a waste of supply that would be better spent on Colossus or Templar. So he really needs to set up defensive positions in the middle of the map and pick from the safety of that. But at this point, he's so far behind that Tasia has the map control that he can prevent that.
Yeah, we have so many Vikings now in the game, and also, of course, those 24 Ghosts, they just drop EMPs everywhere. Another EMP hits home, the occasional storm trying to prevent the worst, but it's just a little bit too much. San is ahead a bit in supply and is dropping another great storm this time, but those EMPs are demolishing energy and shields alike, and Tasia is already ahead one base. He's moving in, taking down another, and there's just no way for San to engage this. He's trying to utilize the range of the Tempest, but it proves to be a little bit too difficult for him to actually handle this.
And his Ghosts actually got a little bit brave there, decided they wanted to engage, and lost a few of them for free. But now the rest of his army turns around and San is forced back immediately.
The Vikings are down to 8. He took down a lot, and he would love to have another storm here, but he just doesn't. Here comes Tasia moving in again, but San doing a lot of damage, demolishing the Terran army, especially those Colossi in the back do so much. Now that the Vikings are gone, San is starting to come back in this game, taking a 25 supply lead. He has to make that work now. He has to go, he has to move in. He is way down in income. He's trying to get those bases. He actually still has one up at the top, and it looks like he's really reluctant to make that engagement happen. He's not even moving in to take down the 4th.
Well, unfortunately, he didn't have, or he lost his Observer, and those Cloak Ghosts were actually taking down a Colossus. However, he does move forward now, and those Colossus just doing so much damage. The Vikings all preoccupied with going out the Tempest while the Colossus killed his entire army. And it looked like Tasia got a little bit overconfident again there. We've actually seen him do that a few times now.
Yeah, but San really doesn't want to move in, apparently. Well, now he does, trying to push maybe that orbital a little bit more, that planetary, I should say. Moving in again, but all those EMPs and a good engagement here. The Viking count is up again. He's trying to pressure those Colossi. Maybe San a little bit too late. A good storm against the Bio. Most of the Vikings gone. 3 are still alive. 6 Tempests in the game. And he has no Colossus anymore. And that was the really dangerous unit for Tasia's Bio Force.
It was, but now there's no real answer to these Tempests besides actually just getting enough Marines to run under them and kill them. 7 more Vikings in production, so that once those are out, he will be able to engage and push those back. And they're actually dead even in supply right now. Pretty similar incomes, I would say. If you look at the income tab, it is actually very close right now. So establishing that base up top, San has pulled himself back into this game, and it's really just a matter of who can hurt the other one next.
San has also rebuilt the base that was earlier sniped, so that was definitely something that comes into play here for him. He is back on a really good income against his opponent, but it is Tasia who took now the lead in supply. ET's once again moving in and trying to do a little bit of damage. Harvesters killed over the course of this game, identical, 23 against 23. And for Tasia, it's just like he has so many Viking stuff already. And what San is building, he's going straight into Colossi. And that is, of course, a great unit to dish out damage to the Bio forces. But if Tasia is using the entire minerals and also the gas that he's accumulating into Vikings, then those will be in a lot of danger. Even the Tempest should not be able to keep those alive for too long.
Yeah, without Templar, he can actually just produce pure Vikings. Although it looks like he's actually scared to engage here, and that this new base for Tasia is going to go down right now.
Yeah, there's a little bit too much damage done. I cannot believe that he leaves that alive.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a blunder, and he realizes it now and tries to go back in. But now it's kind of dangerous because Tasia has taken this high ground, and he has a big, scary force again.
That was definitely a mistake. Even if he wants to run away with his ground forces, he could have gotten off another shot with the Tempest before retreating. An Oracle being built here.
Yeah, the Oracle, great synergy with those Tempests. The Envision, or not Envision, Revelation ability, giving them the ability to shoot at maximum range without actually sacrificing any of your units to reveal the enemy.
Yeah, that is going to be a suicide Oracle, though. If that gets close enough to those Vikings, one shot will be enough.
Oh, yeah. But then the obnoxiousness of the Tempest at range for the next however many seconds, it makes it well worth it. That Oracle will die a hero.
161 and 171 supply for San. Has a bit of a better bank now as well. And we still have that nuke, by the way, something that Tasia has not used.
This has happened in every TVP, every long TVP he's played. He has made that nuke and then just never used it.
He's going to go for that Mortal Kombat style. That is his finishing move. That was the cutest giggle that I ever heard from you, Princess.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I am a princess.
According to Reddit, you are.
Yes.
Oh, that storm is actually really
wow.
good. A high ground storm here against the army on the low ground. That did a lot of damage, and San is moving into the middle of the map, trying to get access to that planetary. The Vikings coming in. One Colossus at the front. The Tempest with the shots. A nice storm here. He needs a few more of those, though.
But he has no real anti-air except for the Tempests, and the Tempests are not duelists. They do not want to fight the... Oh, but more gigantic storms.
Oh, my God. Mother of storms. That did damage, and all the Vikings are gone. Only 6 alive. He could turn around and fight them, and now he has the Stalkers to do so. The Tempest alone will do enough damage, and with 6 High Templars still alive, another storm is not far away. If not for all of those ghosts that still use those snipes, and he is pretty good at sniping all of those High Templar. But San has a 60 supply lead now.
Yeah, those were game-ending storms. That push... I don't know if Tasia was going to end it with that push, but as long as he pulled back or traded units well, then the game was still pretty even. It was still winnable for both of them, maybe an advantage for San. But after that, San now with 3.5 running bases to the 2-ish of Tasia, and a big, big standing army advantage, up to an 80 supply lead.
Yeah, a 40-minute game so far, and Newkirk has been several times in this tournament the map where a comeback started. Ghost User versus Lucifer in 1 hour and 20 minutes. He made it happen, and San is on his way to victory on this map as well. Will he be able to start the comeback here in the finals at the Aces RG? He takes down the Planetary Fortress, moves in and takes it. 80 supply advantage. Another storm hits home as Tasia tries to corner this army.
Harassment at the 6 o'clock base as this happens. And it looks like he's going to win both the battle and the harassment. All of the mules he just dropped, and that was the entirety of his income right now, and every single one of them just died.
The mules are gone, and all of the Vikings follow them. Another storm forces Tasia back, and the Terran player GG's, and San takes victory #1, starting his comeback here at the Aces ROG Finals in Helsinki.
So it turns out he is pretty good.
Yep. I'm just waiting for Tasia to jump on Skype again. Mom, yeah, there we go. Mom is going to take a little bit longer, sorry. Lost game #3. Well, going into game #4, we will have Whirlwind, a pretty big map. But before we go into Whirlwind, we have a short commercial break, and as soon as we are back, we are going into the 4th game between San and Tasia here at the finals at the Aces ROG, and we're going to find out if San can bring it into a 5th game, so stay tuned, we'll be back in a few.
You are receiving this message because humanity is facing a major crisis. We are giving you technology with everything you need to ready up. We sense this powerful